Hey guys, nice to see you. Roll call. Who's in the chat room?
You're gonna do this a G bar. It goes like this. Yeah, it's between the two dots on your third finger.
How you doing, darling?
Hi.
Hey, you got a light for a hippie, man?
Yeah, I got a light for a hippie.
Can I play you guys on
Hey, Job, get a hippie.
a song? Just
Let's I gotta go pretty soon, unfortunately.
He's waiting on me for something. We're gonna I'll be right back.
I'm gonna let you down, hippie.
You said 10 minutes. Well, you didn't do it, though.
Before you jam it. I know, it's 5 to 10 minutes we're up, But
And he said, what would you do if I sang out of tune?
You guys going?
Stand and walk out on
some of this?
Oh yeah, I'm gone.
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome. I'm gonna take a safety break and then I'll be
Alrighty. So, have you guys seen the new Vigil and how amazingly beautiful it is? I put a video up on YouTube just of this earlier. I'm going to be able to pull some stills off of this. Somebody's really amazing at beautification. This is neat. You can get a haircut, get a taco or a slice. Coffee, yes. Load of laundry or a one zone bus ticket. Anyway, those are some participating.
All right. Let's tell the story.
All right. I was just showing the people how beautiful.
No, it's so nice.
It's really lovely.
Yeah, it really is. I like your slippers.
Where did they come from?
Poof, there they are.
Poof. It was on the night of Poof.
Yep.
Poof, there they are. That's funny. Alrighty. So I got a light on. Maybe I don't need that.
Yeah, I don't know. Might be good.
Okay. So, what's the story about, Kernel?
Okay, this story is about well, it's about the changing of the guard in a way. The story is about the vigil and its ever progressing evolution. And so they've, as many of the viewers might be aware, they've decided that they want to try to change the zoning on the sidewalk here. And so I decided that I was coming down here to get arrested after watching 99 get arrested a few days ago, and then seeing that we need to take a stand, that this is something that more people need to get arrested on, and I decided I was going to get arrested. So I packed up the bike trailer with all this gear, and I also decided that while I was down here the night before that I was going to remake the vigil space, the altar that we have here, and we had a card table, and we had a card table with a square kind of angular covering over the card table, and it was good. I mean, it got us through last winter, and it was here all summer, and it served its purpose. And I also had a vision of a space like what we have now, which is a circular space in a dome. And this is something that we also had done previously, and the weather got the better part of it, but we learned a lot from that. So anyway, I brought all the gear down to remake the vigil space here, and to draw a line in the sand there over on the curb with the police in the morning. So I was busy doing my stuff. It was good energy, and the Justice League is camped out over in front of the Injustice Center, and so we were hanging out over there, charging up the phone and stuff like that, and just chatting with those guys over there. And it got time to come back over here to the vigil, and I started walking back up here, and Barry Joe came scooting down towards me saying, "Hey, your ride's here. They're here to arrest you. Come on, it's time to go." And so I wasn't quite ready to get arrested. I was planning on getting arrested in the morning after I finished the space here. And there was other people that had said they were going to be showing up to stand ground. So what happened was, this was the night of really the first rain. So Barry Joe had found like this 10-foot long pole, and I brought my tarp that I use for sleeping in. It's a big tarp, kind of a little bit heavy duty, and so Barry Joe is a creative engineer, and we put the pole out like a boom. We got 99's bike, and then we crossed the pole up over it like this, and then put weight down here on this end, so it was like a boom. It was this stick sticking up into the air, but we weren't tied off to any trees or any news boxes or any poles or anything. And then we took the tarp and stretched it over it, and then took brooms and all kinds of things and made this space. And it started raining pretty good. So it was a nice hangout space. Everything was going fine. A number of cops had driven past, and we just are really trying to push. They're trying to push us off the sidewalk, and we're pushing back by setting up this quote-unquote structure there. So anyway, we had that quote-unquote structure up for about 2.5 hours, and it rained pretty hard during part of that time. And then about the time that the rain started letting up, that's when the cops showed up. And so they told us that we couldn't have the structure, and we had the conversation about how it's not a structure. Yes, it is a structure, take it down. Oh man, I've told this story a number of times, and I'm not going to tell it as good as I've told it, but
give it your best shot.
All right, so one of the things that I do down here is I am a go-between for the cops. I'm trying to think of the right word.
Like a liaison?
Yeah, I'm a liaison for the situation down here to the police, and I give them a fair bit of guff, and I also give them a fair bit of respect, and somehow it works out. And so anyway, I came running up and started doing my liaison thing, and they're telling me this is a structure, and I said it most certainly isn't a structure, and I told them about my court case and how it's not for them to decide whether it's a structure or not. That, you know, if they choose to, they can cite me for their accusation of a structure, but then I have to go down the street and argue the exact same court case with another judge. And so I was giving them a lot of guff, and there was a crowd of people around, because when the cops showed up, there were like 8 people underneath this tarp, and we were brewing some coffee, perking some coffee. They showed up and wanted to know what was going on. It's people hanging out around a little candle and brewing coffee, and they were kind of amazed at the situation. So they said that the thing had to come down. Well, we had some good conversations. They were telling me it's a structure, and I said it's not a structure. I said, do you know what the ordinance says? Can you tell me what the ordinance says a structure is? And he was silent. And I said, according to your ordinance, my shoe is a structure. And his face kind of dropped. They have the recording device right up to me, so I'm telling them all this stuff, and I'm telling them they don't know their Constitution and they don't know their law, and they need to just leave us alone and go away. And they're like, the structure has to come down. And so I said, well, I have to make a decision with the group, so give me a minute. And so I leave the area where I'm talking to the cops and just step over the pole and start talking to people. And I'm just really delaying. I'm just like trying as hard as I can not to respond to what they're telling us to do, but I don't want to lose the tarp, because I want to get arrested in the morning when other people are showing up, and I don't want to get arrested for a structure again. I want to get arrested for pushing this zoning thing, so it wasn't the fight that I wanted. So they say, we're going to cut this down or you're going to cut it down. And I walked back over to him and I said, hold on. I said, this is not a structure. You guys are outside of the law, and we don't believe this is wrong, and we know for a fact it's not wrong, and I need to make this decision with my group. Hold on just a second. So I turned around and walked back over to the people, and I'm just like saying, all right, well, let's do this. And so they were like, all right, we're going to cut it down. And so I said, no, I'll take it down. And somebody gives me a knife, and I just like take as much time as I can, like cutting the ropes, and everybody's giving them guff. And so I cut all the ropes down, and then the tarp's just hanging over the pole's sticking up into the air, and the tarp's hanging down on the ground. And they say the tarp has to come down. And I said, the tarp is down. And they're like, no, the tarp has to come all the way down. I said, no, that's not a definition of a structure. You guys can go now. And they're like, they're gonna take I know they're not gonna take that for an answer. So I cut the last 2 pieces of rope and pulled the tarp down to the ground, and I said, fine, the tarp's on the ground. You guys can go have some donuts now, and you should probably read your Constitution again too, because you're obviously not very fresh on that. So I gave them a lot of lip, and you know what they did? They got in their cars and split.
Yay.
So then, there's more to the story. They came back later, the next day when hardly anybody was here, and, took our stuff. But
yeah, which we did talk about.
yeah, I'm sure there's some footage of that. So anyway, spent the night rebuilding the space here that Mary showed you, and the previous vigil table, we set it out on the curb out there. We didn't know what to do with it. We didn't want it. It had served its time,
Yeah, in the future you can call
and
me.
we felt like, that's something the city has called a structure in the past, but we put it out on the sidewalk right in the middle zone where people will get out of their cars and walk into City Hall, and that's like the zone that they've been protecting for a lot longer time. Now they're trying to do the whole sidewalk all the way along the length of the building instead of just this middle part where people go in and out. So we put this table, the former vigil table, out there on the curb, and decided to use it as a newsstand, because the city has these newsstands, in front of all these buildings. There you'll see newsstands chained together. They're in every city, so that it's all kind of the same. funny thing is that there's no permitting process for that. That's just kind of I don't know what kind of agreement it is, but for somebody to put down a newsstand, there's no permitting process. So we figured, hey, Occupy gets a newsstand too. So we left it out there in this middle part of the thing, and it was out there all morning. It was out there until 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Like when the cop came by, and when I chased the cops off, that was like 3 o'clock in the morning, and they've regularly been coming by at 7:30 to wake people up. And so when the cop came by at 7:30 to wake us up, I told him about the table, that it wasn't a table, it was a newsstand, and that's what it was. And so it stayed there all day until 2 o'clock, and that would have just never happened in times previous, I don't think. And so then after that, we locked it. We got a lock, and we locked it to the newsstands, and we started putting leaflets on it and stuff like that.
Including our book that shows what the laws are, the sidewalk ordinance, and the Ninth Circuit Court decision.
And so then they came and took that the next morning, I guess.
Yeah, so we have
came and took that
we
the
have
next
testimony from myself about what Sergeant Helfrich said happened versus what all the witnesses said happened.
So I mean, we weren't that attached to the table anyway. We'll get another newsstand. We're going to keep pushing it.
Well, we are actually, if you had told me about it, really, I would have taken care of that table, and I am getting it back. So in the future, if we're going to do something, I'll put it on the card.
If you need a table,
No. This particular one, I worked with Mr. 60 to get, and it wasn't like just a table to me.
Right.
But anyway,
so
I'm going to get it back.
The last bit of the story. Well, then we've had a bike trailer out here and a bicycle, and that's kind of been our supply place. And we move it around, we unlock it and move it around. We brought it over and used it as part of the tarp and cantilever operation. We employed the trailer. But anyway, the city came over and hung signs on it twice in the last few days that they suspected it to be abandoned. They know full well that trailer wasn't abandoned and that it belongs to the demonstration here. They know that as for a fact. I know that the person that I talked to on the phone knew what he was doing. But if something's left unattended on the sidewalk for 3 days, they can take it. That thing certainly wasn't unattended or abandoned, but because
and you moved it.
Yeah, we moved it around, but we parked it back at the same place. So, meanwhile, we have a little bike here behind the vigil. Let's take a walk over there. Here, take my hand. Oh
yeah, thank you. I'm just gonna take a second. That's so beautiful. Ernie says, when are they going to take away the Oregonian, Portland Tribune, and Willamette Week boxes?
I know, that's what we were saying. They have to take them all if they're going to take ours.
Right.
So,
well, that's the way the city does things. Is that
here,
they would rather, instead of back down, they'd rather
here,
take it away from everyone.
We have the bike rack for the city employees who work at City Hall, and this little bike here, has been here for about 2 months now. And this little bike is locked up probably about 200 feet from where they took our trailer that they thought was abandoned. You buy that? I don't either. Anyway, this is my bike. I love this bike. You guys show you my bike. Gets me everywhere. I ride 30 miles a day often.
So, now, this is an interesting thing. Let's go look at this other bike. Because if there's a tag on this other bike, then that would be very interesting. You know why?
What?
Because we know the person who has that one.
Oh, there's no tag because they would have came.
That's what I'm saying.
Maybe.
Would they tag somebody that we know and not somebody else?
Tag on that bike. All right. Thanks, everybody. Hi, Japan. Bye, Japan.
Good. No tag. So I guess it's just the trailer. And So I got a message from Kernel. I won't repeat what it said, but it was really funny. And he said, you know, we got to get another box out. So I called Moonjin, who had him at his house. And there it is, locked to the bike rack. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Martin Luther King Jr. That's funny. Colonel, Ernie wants to know the serial number on those bikes.